Hello and welcome to Talking Point. I am Sam Spurs for Life, and this is the show we're doing today is about Nuno, our new manager, and whether or not top four or a trophy would be more important to Nuno Espirito Santo. I'm joined again, as always, by my super special guests. We have residents in the house, Mike-Hotspur Hustler and Sid Spurs, and we're joined today as well by Stuart Gallop. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show. How are we all?
Yeah,
good.
Not bad.
Have we all recovered from the weekend's exploits and the fallout from that?
Fallout.
Yeah. We've got to take into account those sort of things. But as I said, I was fairly drunk on Sunday. Had we won, I would have been even more so. But so there was thankful for small mercies, I guess, because I don't know how Monday would have gone from that point. But anyway, as I said, hugely disappointed. And then obviously with all the stuff that's gone on afterwards, it has been a couple of days for England in general. And I guess we have to get on back to our bread and butter, which is the football as in the Premier League. So, gentlemen, the topic, I'll just flash that back up on here again. Would top four or a trophy be more important for Nuno? As we have a brand new guest on the show, Stuart, I'm going to come to you first because Mike don't like me coming to him first. He always moans I come to him first. So I said, you know what? This time I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come to you, Stuart. Stuart, what's your thoughts? Is it a case of, top four or a trophy? Do you think that Mr. Santo would rather have this season?
Oh, God. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I think his remit from the club will be top four. I think if he can come away with a trophy this season, domestic or the European Conference League, I think what it's called, he'll be happy for his career because I think that would be his first club trophy. But I think from our standing point, to get back on track, the track that we sort of massively derailed from over the last 2 years, we have to get back into the Champions League. And I think that is going to be what is top of his agenda from Daniel Levy, from Paratici, probably for most fans as well. The whole cup thing is generally thought of as a bit of a bonus, I think. And, if you get the opportunity, go for it. But yeah, top four, because that's the only way we can start really competing with the rest of them again, I think, unfortunately.
Okay, good opening gambit. I'll come back to my point in a minute. We'll come to Sid next. Sid, what's your thoughts? Is it a case that he should be aiming for top four, or should silverware be the priority?
You know what? I think first and foremost, he needs to get stability into the team.
Cool.
Get the players that he wants playing, the players that want to play for the club, and most importantly, get Tottenham playing the way Tottenham fans and Tottenham's tradition is. Trophy, honestly, I don't think we're a top four. We're not top four at all. For the last since Poch is gone, we're not top four, and last season proved it. So I think his main emphasis this year will probably be to try and win a trophy, because we've not won a trophy for years and years. And if he can come into Tottenham in his first season and actually get a trophy, finished maybe 6th or 7th, like we said last time, I think he'll be happy with that. I think trophy might be more important than top four, because we can't compete in the top four this season, not with the other teams strengthening and a new manager, a new philosophy, a new director of football. Everything's just going to be brand new. And I think top four is going to be too much. So personally, for me, I think trophy might be the best bet.
Okay. Before I come to Mark, I'll just give my points. I've said this from last season. I said this when Jose came in. It was all about winning a trophy. Going back to 2008, and I know it's been done to death, that's the last time we saw anybody from our club with both their hands up in the air, holding a silverware aloft. And we have to get back to the essence. I know the top four is important from a financial perspective. I get all that. But ultimately, when you look back, I don't know if I'm going to remember in 10, 20 years' time when I'm older and even greyer than I am now, I'm not going to go, well, you know what? We had 16 top four finishes. That was fantastic. I'm going to remember the trophies. I'm going to remember the FA Cups. I'm going to remember the League Cups. I'm going to remember potentially any trophy that we win from this point up until I die, because that's what it's about, I think. However, the waters have changed. because of the finances. I guess with the COVID situation that's happened over the last 18 months, that's put even more pressure on teams to recuperate finances. So again, I think everybody in that sort of like top 6, 7 is going to be chasing that top 4 for that reason, for the finances. But only a certain amount of teams can win trophies each year. You know, we could be out of the top 4 as we have been, you know, and we could still be having a successful season. And I just want to see that. I want to see our players have that confidence to say, yeah, we can win something. The top 4 is great. Top 4 is great. But ultimately, playing in the Champions League where we don't have the squad to compete realistically to win it. 2 years ago, when we got to the final, did we have a chance to win it? Of course we did. Mm-hmm. Would you look at Liverpool and say that they were second favourites to us? No, because they'd won 5 before that. So it's all about, for me, the end of my life as a Spurs fan, how many trophies we've lifted. That's just my personal point. Mike, I'll come to you for your opinion. What's your thoughts?
So I'm a bit of both here. So I think that I think Nuno's ultimate aim, maybe not this season, but certainly during his stint with us, will be to get us back into top 4. I don't think. I think Sid mentioned it. I don't think we're quite there yet this season, and I think that there may be more of an emphasis on us trying to get either a domestic trophy or the European UEFA Vauxhall Conference League Cup, whatever you want to call it.
Nice looking trophy.
Exactly. You know what? I did see it the other day. And I was like,
beautiful.
Actually, that's not a bad looking trophy.
It's beautiful.
But, so I think this season, if he gets us in a respectable finish, i.e., from my perspective, 5th or 6th, I don't want to see us any lower than that. But certainly, if we're finishing around the 5th or 6th mark, I would want to see the emphasis on a trophy. And I think that's probably, for this season, that's where I can probably foresee us sort of aiming for. But ultimately, certainly, if it's not going to be this season, because we haven't even signed anyone, have we? We haven't signed anyone. We haven't got any rid of the deadwood. So it's all like, oh, we're going to go for top 4. Well, we haven't got the squad for that. If we're realistic, we haven't got the squad for that at the moment. But I mean, if he made a handful of signings, got rid of a handful of players, then all of a sudden that could change the dynamics of the team and the squad. And then all of a sudden, depending on what other clubs are doing, you might have an outside chance of hitting that top 4 spot. But I think to keep us fans happy and to perhaps sort of like keep us all a bit sort of, I don't know, more quiet than usual, if we had a trophy, like a decent trophy, then I think that would certainly appease us fans for this season. And then you'd expect us to build upon that the following season. Okay, you got us a trophy. We want to be hitting top 4 now. So we want top 4 and maybe a domestic trophy. It's something to be built on, isn't it? You got to lay the foundations to be successful. And
100%.
And Nuno has to be given that opportunity, doesn't he?
I think so. My only little concern is he's only been given a 2-year contract. Whether that's just because, you know, they're being a bit more careful with the finances, not going to give a long contract out in case it doesn't work out. So he's not, I wouldn't say under immense pressure. He's always going to be under pressure. But I think Sid and both Stuart mentioned it earlier. It's almost this galvanizing of the squad. We have got certain players that we all believe is not good enough. Whether or not he can get a bit more tune out of some of them. And I've seen a recent interview with Matt Doherty, and he's talked highly about Nuno, saying, you know, his training methods, his man management skills are really up there with some of the best in world football, I guess. What he did with that Wolves team shows that he can take players from everywhere, really, put them together, get them playing onto the pitch.
And he can improve them as well, can't he?
And he can improve them.
He's a coach.
And that's what his job is. He's head coach. So he's coming in to improve that. I think he needs to get that spirit right. That spirit looked like at that Everton, I think it was the Everton game where Jose was just sat down. It looks like he'd had enough. That looked like he completely shot everything.
That was the end.
That was the end, wasn't it? We could all see it. I think we said it on our reaction show. He's done, and so be it. So he was done. So I think there's a job in terms of building everybody back together, and then seeing who we can then elevate to to higher heights. Stuart, I'm just looking at this comment, and welcome to the people that are watching. Zyron the Tester, welcome. Adam Morris, shout out to you, Adam. Paxton Road TV, we are here. Would you be happy with just UCL? As UECL, I'm not going to call it UCL because people are going to start slaughtering us, telling us we're in the Champions League, and we are definitely not in the Champions League.
We wish.
UECL. What's your thoughts on that? Would you be happy with that just at this season?
Well, that would mean we've won a trophy, and it would mean that we would have qualified certainly for the Europa League the following season. So if you said that to me now, that's what you're going to end the season with, the first season with Nuno, with the current situation as it is, I wouldn't say no to it at all, because I think we are at a starting point again. Unfortunately, I think we've almost gone back to the transition when Poch came in. I think that's the sort of point we are at a club again. As bad as that is, and it's criminal that it's been allowed to happen in that way. That's where we're at, and I think if we can all sort of get your heads around that sort of starting point of where we're at, then I think it just means that the sort of expectation won't get a bit out of control, because I think we haven't been like a Premier League. We've had opportunities to win it, and we've had opportunities to win the Champions League, obviously. But if you look at the squad, I mean, we're not at that level. We're not at the sort of the level of squads that Man United have got, maybe, in Man City and Chelsea and Liverpool. And, like Mike was saying, we haven't signed anyone yet, but I don't think anyone really has. I mean, it's only really Man United who've signed Sancho, and that deal's been done for almost a year. It was only because it didn't get done when Dortmund wanted it to get done last year. So no one's going to be doing anything. We've got, 6-7 weeks of the transfer window yet, because it's the end of August. So I'm not too stressed about that. I think we've got enough players who will have been back well before the first game of the season to put a good starting 11 together, and get a good pre-season together. And then obviously we might see other people who, like Kane and that. I'll be surprised if he's starting on the opening day, really, given the effort he's put in over the summer.
It's Man City, though. He's going to have to play him.
We're going to have to play him.
Yeah.
He's got no choice.
Yeah, maybe. But, going back to the main point, I think, if you go through and win that trophy, that's a long old slog of a trophy, because there's a long road to win that one. And if you won it, great. I mean, we have to get that winning mentality from somewhere. I don't care whether it's the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the Europa Conference League. We have to get a winning mentality, and you only get that by winning a trophy. So I don't think we could be arrogant enough, given our current history with trophies, to say, "Oh, I don't want that one. I only want this particular one." We just need to win something, And I think you'll do the whole squad and the club that positive move forward.
It certainly helped.
I was going to say, Mike, I'll let you come on. Just looking at this comment here from Zyra in the test, and you can probably answer this one. The teams around us, have all elevated. If we could look at the likes of Aston Villa, I guess we're looking at the likes of Leicester. We can probably put, Everton in that sort of category. As much as I hate to say it, you can probably put West Ham in that sort of category. Arsenal are always going to be there or thereabouts. So there's 4 or 5 teams there outside of the Man Uniteds, the Man Cities, the Liverpools, the Chelseas that we are now competing with. So we could be essentially in a shout of top 4, but we could be low down as 8th or 9th here. Do you think that, and I'll ask you this, Mike, do you think that anything less than a certain level, if it's 6, would you say that as a failure for Nuno for this season?
I wouldn't say it's a failure, but I think the fan base would be still very split as to whether, you could argue, technically we have improved. We've gone from 7th to, or was it 8th to 6th, but I think really and truly we need to be, if we're not top 4, we need to be 5th in my eyes to show real progression under Nuno. And the comments about being 6th if we're lucky, we beat Leicester, we beat Aston Villa. I personally think we have a stronger squad, certainly stronger squad than Aston Villa. I know there's Everton, and I put it down to it was tactics and us not being probably fit enough last season to why we finished where we did, because there was a lot of games whereby the last 10 or 15 minutes we conceded a goal and we end up drawing.
We weren't fit against Everton.
We weren't fit. That's the bottom line. We
started behind on our fitness 100%.
That's
why Nuno's there. Nuno's there because he gets teams fit, and everything that Paratici was saying about the type of fitness and the demand and determination and all that stuff that Mourinho just let drift.
Yeah. And that's
he didn't want to take personal responsibility for it. And he wanted to chuck it all on the players. That's what we need to hit the ground running this time, because that's why we were behind from day one.
And that's exactly it. Ultimately, that was our downfall. We just wasn't fit enough. The last 15, 20 minutes in the Premier League game, as we've seen, that can be the difference between no points or 1 point, or 1 point and 3 points. And I mean, there's teams that we drew. You go against very early in the season. Fulham, Crystal Palace, etc., etc. Newcastle, another one. Yeah. We should be beating those teams, and if we were fitter, we would have beaten them. Because
I don't think it's.
Yeah, I was going to say. Oh, sorry about that. My only concern is the last few months of Poch's tenure, the players were almost down in tools. There was a lot of reports coming out saying they felt they were overtrained and they were being almost flogged to death. You can see that in certain ways with how Klopp's teams are. They do have this burnout after 2 to 3 years. I know that Nuno gets teams fit, but I just want to flash up his record in terms of where he's been. And the only reason I wanted to put this up, and let me just get rid of this comment here from Grandpa, and I'm going to say shout out to these people. The only reason I'm saying that is he hasn't stayed anywhere for more than 3 or 4 years. 4 years at Wolves. One of those years was in the Championship. He spent a year at Porto, finished second. That's his highest finish he's had. Obviously won the Championship with Wolves, as we know. But those other two managerial positions, Valencia, just over a year. Rio Ave, whatever you want to say, or how it's pronounced. Someone can tell me in the chat. Just over 2 years, or just around about 2 years. So again, is that kind of buying into this thing where you can get players really fit, but then there's not enough about them after that to do anything further? What is going to be an acceptable thing for us to have this season? I'm not entirely sure.
If we had a stronger squad, then the injuries, the burnout wouldn't happen. Because you'd have the players to rotate, which, I mean, we're going into 4 competitions next season if you include the league itself. You can't just manage a squad with, say, I don't know, between 11 and 15 players. You need that full 20-odd man squad, and you need them to be all good enough, fit enough, and tactically astute to be able to play the way that Nuno wants to play, and give us that chance of potential success. But I mean, you saw that the burnout that happened with Liverpool and with Spurs. You could argue easily that their squad and our squad just wasn't probably that big enough to manage that expectation of how Klopp and how Pochettino wanted to his teams to play, or their teams to play.
Go on, Sid.
I was going to say, I think what he's got to do as well is what Mike's just saying. Strength in depth, not big enough squad. Number one, we need to get a second striker, no matter what.
Yeah.
Today we're linked with Danny Ings, right? For me, he'd be a good addition to Harry Kane. What he's got to do is tell Harry Kane, listen, mate, you are not going to play in this UCL Cup, right, until the very, very latter stages. Keep him fit for the games that he needs to play in. So the Prem, FA Cup, maybe, Carabao Cup, it depends. First couple of rounds, but that UCL Cup, he's just got to say to him, listen, you are not going to participate in this at all. You stay at home, you relax, you get your fitness back up, you keep in good shape, and you come when we need you the most. Because if he's going to play him in every single game, in every tournament, he's going to have a burnout again, and we're going to come back to this conversation where, we need to buy a second striker, we need to do this, we need to do that. And my second point I was going to say about fitness, I don't think it's all about fitness. I think what Mike said before, it's about, and Sam, it's about dropping tools. A lot of them dropped tools. It's not just fitness. There's a lot of players that are fit. You see their bodies and you see how fit they are. It was just they didn't give a shit towards the end. They did not care.
That's the problem, though, isn't it, Sid?
Yeah.
You get rid of them. You don't. If you can't buy into what the manager wants, if the manager feels that what he is trying to coach and instill within that squad, if you can't buy into that, or you don't think you're capable, or your body's not capable of doing that, then you've got to go somewhere else. Not just for the benefit of the club, but for the benefit of you as a player. Because otherwise you're just going to be sat on a bench. Yeah, okay, you might be earning 50, 60, 70 grand a week. But first and foremost, any footballer that's a professional footballer wants to be playing. Money's a great second, isn't it? I mean, we'd all probably play for free. But
you say that, but a lot of these players don't, because they'll stay on long contracts and not go anywhere because they don't really want to go down in wages. We've seen that. And a lot more players are now doing that. They're going to see out their contract because, for effectively, if it was about football, so many players would have moved on. I just think we pay decent wages. I wouldn't say we're the best players, but we've got a lot of players in comfort zones in our squad. We need to get rid of some of them. But I just want to ask Stuart his thoughts on this comment here from RC Brian, Chelsea fan TV. Welcome. Thank you, even as a Chelsea fan watching. Do you see Nuno playing the Spurs way, whatever the Spurs way is? Do you see Nuno playing that way? Or is it about results? Or is it about a certain policy that he has? Is it going to be a back three, a back five, how we want to say it? Or is it just going to be game to game? I don't know.
I don't think we're going to be like, Ozzy Ardiles front 10. I think there'll be an element of it that will be game to game, because that's the modern game, isn't it? Modern managers largely do change their style or their setup based on the opposition. I mean, the only teams that in most recent times that don't do that are teams like Man City and Liverpool, when they sort of were challenging and then won the league, where they basically had a way of playing and they dictated that onto the opposition. And for me, if you're going to be a quality team, you don't change your way of playing, you dictate that onto the other team. And that's the sign of a great team, who said literally from the first 5 minutes, that's the thing. If you're playing Man City or Liverpool, if you don't get them in that first 5 minutes, you're going to struggle, because that allows them to set into their style of play. And I think we don't know what that style of play is going to be, because we don't know what the end starting 11 is going to be. Is it going to be a back three with wing backs like Doherty and Reguilon? Because that's the interesting thing about this Tomiyasu signing, in that I don't necessarily think this is going to be out and out right back signing. I think this is going to be a right sided centre back signing, much like when you had Trippier and then you had Walker inside, and then Doherty will be a more flying wing back like he was at Wolves. I think Doherty
got a point there.
A very key player, because he's going to be Nuno's ally in the squad, basically. I'd be very surprised if he went anywhere. And that allows us to have a more...
What's your thoughts on this comment then? What's your thoughts on this comment from Sean Hurl? Sean, thank you for watching. The question is too much for next season. Today, I'll accept better football and sixth place. Anything else is a bonus. I think having seen last
season, hell yeah.
Oh,
it's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. That's a fair shout.
We did so many review shows, and we all we had some right meltdowns on our shows because of the football. And at point when it was November time and we were getting the results and we were top of the league, we was kind of like, this is acceptable. Yeah. But then when it started to go a little bit pear-shaped, that acceptability lessened. We couldn't have Jose going 1-0 up, parking the bus at home. I know there was no fans, and maybe if there was fans in the stadiums, that wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But it did happen, and we finished where we did, and he obviously had to go. Ryan Mason came in for the last few games. But is it a question of seeing better football, even if we weren't to get, let's say, top 4 or even top 6? Would we accept that? Sid, would you accept no trophies and no top 4 if it meant that, we were playing better football?
After last season, we was poor. We was really poor. There was no football at all. I don't even think in the last 10 games we actually played maybe a little bit of football, but we lost that completely, and we lost the top 4. We lost the final. We lost everything like that. I personally, for me, if I'm going every week watching and we're playing football, I'm getting entertained. I'm seeing good football from all the players giving 100%. I'm not bothered if we finish 7th, but If we have a good run in the cup, no,
Sid, don't kill me here.
No, it's true though. I mean, after last season, we had this discussion a couple of shows ago, didn't we? And we said top 6 it's not guaranteed with all the other clubs that are coming. And if we play good, entertaining football, we're gonna be in with a great shout. And I think a lot of fans will want to see that some kind of Tottenham tradition of actually playing good, entertaining football, taking teams to the slaughter. Because on our day, when we play football, boy, we can play football and we can take teams and we can delete the Liverpools, the Man Cities, Man Uniteds. We can batter them if we want to. But the problem is the mentality. They have to go, like Stuart said, from the offset. We have to go at teams and tell them this is Tottenham Hotspur. We don't want none of this Man United business where in the changing rooms the team talk was, guys, this is Tottenham Hotspur. No, we are Tottenham Hotspur, and we need to tell people we are not soft touches anymore, and we give everyone a good run for their money. And I think the fans will be happy. And I think if we've had good football, I think fans will be more than happy.
I'll just read this comment out here from Sean Hill again. Villa have started building, possibly anticipating Grealish departure. We are behind the 8 ball without incomings. Good discussion, guys. But that's a point, though. If people like Jack Grealish, who's a major influence at Aston Villa, depart, they're on a rebuild as well. There's talk about certain players from Leicester moving on, potentially. They might be in a rebuild. We know about Arsenal. They're going to need to get players in and out, as we do. So there is going to be a lot of changes. There is going to be a lot of, incomings, outgoings, I believe, and that's probably going to be the latter part of the transfer window because of obviously the competitions that we had. Given that, and let's say we get the players in that we get, it's been talked about that, Nuno is a mini Jose. What should we be expecting to see in terms of the football? Is it a tackle, all-out tackle? Is it going to be this pragmatic style? Because when the fans are in the stadium, Sid's going to be there for a lot of the games. I'm going to try and get as many games as possible. You know what? The crowds just don't have it at Spurs if they're playing a certain way.
It's not. I mean, this whole thing about him being mini Jose and he's really negative and pragmatic, it's enough. That's just rubbish. It's rubbish. Yeah. He had a very bad season last season with major issues within that squad. Injuries. If you took the kind of issues where you've got your main striker, you've got key midfielders, you've just sold your main wing back, which they sold to us, and you rip that out, and then you start the season, have all those issues coming up, you're going to struggle, and you can't play the way that you have played before. So he tried to adapt to a new system, and the whole squad had to adapt to a new system because they were trying to do something off the... Because they probably, if you think about it, you would go through your whole pre-season, go, right, this is how we're going to set up, this is how we're going to play. And then you've lost Jimenez, then you've lost Doherty, then they had, I think, Coutinho or Neves was out at different times. They're really key players out, and that's what impacted them that season. All you have to do is watch Wolves for the previous 2-3 seasons, and they are not a negative team. They were a bloody good team, and they beat us on numerous occasions. Can we get that confirmed?
They did control possession. I did. What I was a little concerned with, I know that, and this is probably one of the points, because he did have some really good players. So, Boy from Lane saying, how do you feel about Daniel Pedent's link coming out today? Apparently, at request of Nuno, would that be something you'd be happy with? Sid says you need to get on that one for the next show.
Daniel Pedent, I will do.
He had a lot of talent at Wolves, particularly, I know that Jimenez, the injury, but he had a lot of talent there. And I wasn't always seeing the attacking talent being played out. Now, I think somebody upstairs, maybe, I don't know this for facts, and I can't obviously say that, wanted a little bit more flair, a little bit more attacking front foot football because they had the players. Hence the reason why they maybe changed to a 4-3-3, but it didn't have the results as he had the previous seasons. So is he going to come to Spurs, which we could probably all say we have better players than Wolves do? I would hand on heart say that we do. And if we make the right signings, we should be able to get those guys playing and combine. Is he going to have a pragmatic approach, or is he, as he's said in his interviews, we're going to make you proud? By that statement, that means attack, doesn't it? You're not going to make us proud by sitting back and counter-attacking.
But he doesn't need to, with the players that he's got. And this... Mourinho set us up badly because he didn't really. I don't think he fully understood the type of players. Well, I say this in a loose sense, but I don't think he fully understood potentially the players that he had in his armory, because he didn't play to their strengths, and he made an attacking team play counter-attacking football, which it just didn't suit us as a team at all, as a squad. And I think that's probably where we struggled. I know you can argue, yeah, okay, we still got to the final, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, we got a bye in one round, and then the rest of the teams, I mean, we could have probably beat them with our youth team, to be fair. But with the squad that he's got now, if we didn't make any signings, there is still enough talent there not to play that counter-attacking football. We should. There's enough talent there to play possession-based football and be more on the front foot, and actually take the game and boss the games going forward for next season. Obviously, against Man City, against Liverpool, you might probably want to rethink that strategy, and you might think, well, actually, we're not going to get much of the ball here because they've got superior players. So maybe we would, especially if we're playing away from home, you might play the counter-attacking football, and you couldn't blame Nuno for sort of going with those tactics. But I think we'll see more of attacking intent, and I think we'll be more possession based next season, because it doesn't make no sense for us to play that Mourinho way. It's just negative football.
Pressure does a funny things though to managers. You know, when you look at the likes of Jose, when we did this, I know it goes back to last season, 6-1 against United. I know they had a player sent off, but the football looked really good. I think it was a 5-2 against Southampton. Again, looked like really good football. Then all of a sudden, you know, a couple of results didn't quite go the way. It looked like things changed. Now, again, I think that was a lot of influence down to not having fans there, and maybe the fans are going to make a massive difference. But before I come to my last point about the actual show, I just want to give a shout out to all those who are watching. So shout out to Dino Dinosaur, Grandpa Stevens, Boy from the Lane, Sean Hurl. Who else have we got in the house that has made some comments? RC Brian, Chelsea fan, Peter Rainey, Charles Williams, welcome again. Love seeing you guys on this show. Paddy Harnett, or Hartnett, should I say? Adam Morris. Go on, right?
Just very quickly, Shape. What pressure has Nuno actually got on his shoulders? Because he's going in as relatively. If he fails, everyone's not going to be going, oh, he's not this big name. He's not the Conte. He's not Nagelsmann. He's not coming with that
free hit.
Yeah, exactly that.
So he's not coming with that. And you can answer this first, then, Mike. This is my last question, and then we wrap things up. If he doesn't get top 6, let's say, and no trophy, does he survive into next season? Does he get a second season at Spurs?
Yeah. I think he does.
You're not going to expand on that? I want to hear why.
I think he does, because the expectation on him is not, I don't think it's going to be as high as what the expectation would be on Nagelsmann or Conte, or I can't think of the other names off the top of my head, but those elite managers, he isn't coming with that reputation that they will have, whereby like Conte, if he comes in, the expectation is probably top 4 and a trophy. With Nuno, you expect we're already talking about it. Our expectation is get top 6 and maybe get a trophy. So if we're thinking along those lines, and we have patience with him, allow him to, I suppose, undertake a sort of, I say a rebuild, but if we said we allowed him to bring in the players that he wants, that he feels can benefit the team and improve the team, then I think he survives easily for the 2 seasons, unless something catastrophic happens, i.e. he loses his first 5 games, we're bottom of the table, and all of a sudden things aren't going the way we all sort of envisaged, and then you've got the pressure. Then you've got like, okay, he's got 5 games in. Has he got another 5 games? Okay, he's lasted 5 games. Has he got another 10 games in it? Is he last until Christmas? Those are the sort of questions. But he's got a hard run in already from the beginning of the season. So I think we just got to be realistic, and pre-season is crucial. I mean, we've all said it, and it is probably a cliche, but it's crucial.
It's such a fine line. So he gets top 6 and is decent football, and we're kind of, okay, that's an acceptable season. He finishes, let's say, 7th or 8th, Arsenal are above us, West Ham are above us, but the crowd's thinking decent football. What do the board say? So, Stuart, what would be acceptable to you if we weren't to, finish inside the top 6 or not have a trophy? Would 7th, 8th finishing below West Ham, potentially finishing below Arsenal, would that still see Nuno in a job for next season?
I think that the element of this that we've sort of not really talked about is the Paratici element, because I think what we've got to realise is that this isn't just sort of Nuno's first season. This is Paratici's first season of whatever his long-term strategy is for the club, because he's coming in from a team like Juventus that went from not really winning anything, getting back into Serie A, and then they became the dominant force in Serie A. Yeah, so I think he's come in because that's ultimately where Levy wants the club to be, and I think it's going to take at least 1 or 2 seasons just to do that process of getting the squad both ins and outs to where Paratici wants it, because Paratici is going to define the strategy of how we are playing as a club, what type of players we have, the mentality, the quality, all that kind of stuff. So we are in a transition again. This is the unfortunate thing. We are in a transition. So that's we're not going to go and watch Tottenham.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be that's the problem, and this all comes back to the Levy thing of like, whenever we've had the point to go up to that next level, we haven't taken it and we've stagnated. So, and that's when you have to start the process again, because everyone else has moved on. So you're playing catch up. And we're playing catch up again. We have to get the squad to a point that it matches whatever Paratici's strategy is for the club, because he's managing the academy all the way through to the first team. So he's going to have a mindset of, this is how I want us to play. These are the type of players that I want. If you don't match that, you're out. But all that takes time in a market where any kind of sales and buys is going to be a nightmare. I mean, if Real Madrid and Barcelona are in the messes that they're in, then there's going to be a lot of issues with clubs' finances in terms of just getting players out. I mean, we're probably going to get to the point where a lot of these players are going to sit on their contracts, and then they'll all go on free next summer.
And I totally agree. And the only way I think I don't want to use the word failure, the only way I can see him failing in terms of not having a top 6 finish or a trophy is if he can introduce the youth into the team. If he can get some of the Oliver Skips in there, the Dane Scarlets, the Ryan Sessignons, the Sirkins, the Divines in there, in and around the first team, playing decent football alongside some of these others, and maybe doesn't play some of the deadwood, and we don't maybe finish in the top 5, 6, 7, I can see potentially that might suffice if the football's good enough and we can see potential from these players. I'm not sure, and I'll ask Sid, what if you're there the last game of the season, and let's say we lost and we ended up 7th and it was a no trophy season, what are you thinking? Are you saying Nuno in or you Nuno out?
If we finish 7th and no trophy, I'm saying give him another season, because it's one season. You can't expect miracles. Poch was there for 4-5 seasons. He didn't win us anything apart from a Champions League final. Mourinho got us to the final, but he never got to manage us in the final. And like Mike said, we got a couple of buys in that one. You've got to give him a season, and 7th it's not bad. If the football's good, 7th's not bad. We ain't win a trophy, not a problem. But what Daniel Levy's got to think about, right, is you've gone and got Paratici, right? You've been after him. You've finally got him. Let him go and get the players that he wants.
100%.
I believe he's looking at
I think he will.
Yeah, 10 players for every position. Last couple of days, he's been the Bologna defender, Koundé. He's now starting to do what he normally does. 50 million, I'll give you 20 million. I'll give you 30 million. Forget it. This guy has given you a list of players that he wants to make Tottenham great again. Go and buy them. And
I think.
Yeah, go on, Mike.
I think it's I do think it's Paratici that is doing the negotiations. I actually think Levy's probably, and people can probably agree or disagree with this, but I think Levy's probably now. I personally think he's probably sitting a little bit aside, letting Paratici do his thing, because he's got a track record.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he's signing the checks though. So
exactly.
If he doesn't feel that's the value, I guess you're gonna allow Paratici to do his thing. You are going to allow him to do the method of his madness in terms of 10 players for every position. But let's say that player was 65 million. Daniel Levy's got to sign these checks off. I'm just not quite sure whether he's loosened enough of that control to say, okay, I'm going to trust you on that one.
But on the flip side of that, he may have said, look, this is your budget. Let's just pluck a figure out of thin air. Here's 100 million. You do what you think's right, but it's on your head.
Yeah. 5 players. Yeah. Going back to your question, Stam, I think most important is if we finish 7th, not got a trophy. However, if we've got stability
is key. Yeah,
I'll be happy with that, because then going into next season, we know we're not spiraling downwards. He's set a stability. He's got something in place. First season, it's the 7th. It's not bad. Next season, you move on.
Okay.
Progression's key. Like stability and progress.
Yeah, progress. Yeah, exactly the word. You know, we've the last 2 seasons under Mourinho have been outright regression. Yeah, in the style of play, in the mentality, in the attitude amongst the squad, everything was just going backwards. So for me, it's all about positivity, moving forward, everything being about taking those steps. But it's just about we've all got to be a bit patient, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's baby steps, isn't it, as they say.
It is baby steps.
Well, I've just signed up for a season ticket this year, so
I'll see you there. I'll see you there.
I'll probably get a refund after the Man City game.
To those watching, please hit that like button. If you are watching us live now, make sure you hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us out immensely just to get the analytics. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I want to come to Stuart. Where can people find you, Stuart? Let them know.
I'm mainly on Twitter. At Creative SKG is my Twitter handle. And yeah, that's where you'll find me mainly, hiding on there.
Hiding. We do hope we'll be back. It's been very, very informative discussions, and it's been good. We've got plenty more stuff to come. But I'm looking forward to that first pre-season game, which we're going to do a reaction show for on Saturday against Leyton Orient. I do.
It's away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it away?
To that? You can't. Can you go to that? Yeah. Are you guys going to that game?
It's limited. It's limited.
They're live streaming it, though, aren't they?
Yeah. They're live streaming all on Spurs TV, so that's why we can all watch it and then do a reaction show. So that'll be good.
You got to laugh, haven't you?
I'll be up for that.
We've got to get back into these reaction shows. So we're going to have the meltdowns as we did last season. This player's shocking. He's not there. I can't wait for that again. That's like, it's all part of it.
Have they said why it's limited? Because when you look at the Euros, how many tens of thousands were in that Wembley Stadium? Yeah, you probably can only get about. There's probably no more than 6,000 you can get into Leyton Orient.
Let us not get into that, because I couldn't understand that when I was seeing the amount of people I was seeing at Wembley, and then they're saying they're limited the amount of people. It's madness. Anyway, that's another story that we don't want to deal with. We're not that political on this show. Again, just a quick one: like, subscribe, share, comment. This has been Talking Points. Would Nuno take top 4 over a trophy, or vice versa? I don't know, but I am agreement. I do want to see decent football. I want to see us get back to some form of attack, particularly at home. You know, I know we've got a bit of a tough start in the first 6 games. We've got the likes of City, Chelsea, and Arsenal to play, but there's no reason why he can't just go for it. Just a quick other shout out for us, and I'll put this up. Look out for us. This is Judge Jody player rating show coming soon. She will be doing a weekly player ratings, and we'll be having a guest on there. Probably one of us going on there doing that, coming through. That's Judge Jody. I like that. We don't. Also, Sid says this weekend. Oh no, Friday. We're doing it on Friday.
Friday.
I'm going to be on that one.
Make sure.
Are you going to get Danny Ings in there? We're talking about Danny Ings. What are we talking about?
I hope you're not talking about Danny Ings. Come on.
Listen, every transfer target is. It's a discussion, so we'll have Prudence on there, we'll have Danny Ings on there. I'm sure Kunde will come back on there, and there'll be many more. I mean, there's an endless list, but there's only. So, I mean, I don't want to
your legs, Sid.
Yeah, it's 50. It's a 15-minute program. I don't want it to be an hour, 2 hours, because there's so many. We'll link with everyone.
I do hope though. I do hope Nuno does bleed some of these youngsters in, like Dane Scarlett. I mean, he's absolutely banging them in the academy. Give him the perfect opportunity for him would be the Conference League European. Yeah, whatever you want to call it. That cup's perfect for him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And he looks like he's put on a bit of size. He's matured a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see what these preseason games bring, because that's ultimately where I think we'll see a lot of these players get to play, to see if they can do so. So yeah, it's all exciting. It's coming up. It's starting the season. It's almost here, gentlemen. Thank you for all your time. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Talking Points, and we are out.